And we'll be talking about whether you're self-employed or a business owner, like legit. I mean, everyone, if you have your own business, you can call yourself a business owner, but there's actually a definition. And we're going to go over that, and then we're going to talk about how you can make that transition from being self-employed to a business owner if it makes sense in your situation. So here's Christina Alvino. She is with FineView Marketing. She's a founder and owner. And she started as self-employed. And then she made the conscious decision to transition into becoming a full-fledged business owner. And that's when she told me all about that stuff. So that's why it's great to have her here. She has that experience. And before we get started, I'd love to ask you to introduce yourself, how you kind of got into your industry.
Sure. So my company, FineView Marketing, focuses on helping small and mid-sized self-storage operators with their marketing. It's an industry where a lot of the smaller operators don't have an internal marketing department, so we kind of provide that service to them. And I got started actually working on the operator side. So I was on the operator side for about 7 years, worked for a number of different storage companies, varying sizes that had stores across the country. Saw a need in the industry for someone to step into what I'm doing. There are a lot of digital marketing companies in this space, but there aren't a lot of companies that focus on a holistic marketing strategy approach.
Right.
So not just digital, but the way your store looks and your brand and what you're putting out there into the community, print, design, all of that.
So it's more of like a full-fledged marketing service.
Yeah, it's kind of like your customized in-house marketing team.
But not actually in-house.
Correct.
Which is really cool.
Which is great because they don't have the additional payroll expenses, and we work with them based on what they can afford with their P&L.
Right. Yes. And
so
that's why this is a great fit, because Office Depot provides those kinds of services as well. Beyond marketing, and it's been great. And that's the thing when I've talked to most people, as far as testimonials go, is I don't have to hire 3 people with each with a salary and benefits. Like that's a lot.
It is.
And
it is.
But hiring a service is certainly service, as like, for instance, Office Depot has IT as a service. You don't need to have an IT team in your building anymore, but you can have someone fully dedicated to helping your business, and it definitely comes at a fraction of the cost. So really cool that you do that for businesses. Awesome. Let's dive into a little bit more, but I do want to talk. This is a question I warned you about.
Yes.
Right off the bat, I want to provide some value as to, why being a business owner versus being self-employed, what the difference is. Christina's made that transition, so I wanted to ask, have you seen results within the past year?
Absolutely.
Really?
So it's been about 9 months that I've started the company, and it all started way before that, and we'll get into that a little bit later. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I've definitely seen a huge growth just for my business by bringing in people and kind of transitioning out of that self-employed mentality. So, self-employed, really, you're the one that's doing everything. You're controlling everything. You're doing every project. You're the client contact for every person. Something happens to you, and there's no one there to pick up for you, right? You go on vacation, everything stops. You go to a conference, everything stops. There's nobody else there for you to delegate to help run the business when you're not there. So, and you also can't continue to grow because you can only do so many projects at a time and work with so many people at a time because there are only 24 hours in a day. Right.
So you're probably working your butt off just to stay even, just to stay afloat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So by making that transition, and now, having contract employees that work for me and a full-time employee, I've been able to step out of the role of doing everything and step into the role of working with new clients, getting more people on board, having those conversations. And when I need to get something done, I have people that I can delegate to, and we're able to move a whole lot faster and grow a whole lot quicker because I have those people in place.
Right. And this might be an obvious question, but in terms of finances, are you seeing the perks of that?
Absolutely.
Like, people are so afraid to spend up front.
So that's kind of going to get into what we talked about with the facing your fears a little bit.
Right.
So I'm going to jump ahead.
Just jump in on it.
Just jump in on it.
It's a perfect time to talk about it.
But that really goes along with facing your fears when going out to do something yourself. A lot of people end up being self-employed because maybe they lost their job and they don't know what to do, so they become a consultant. And I mean that those statistics might not be 100% accurate. I don't really know. But I made the choice to leave full-time employment to become self-employed, to now become a business owner. There wasn't anything forcing me out of where I was. I just consciously made that decision that it was time for me. But I had the fear of making sure that I was able to pay my bills, right? I can pay my rent. I can
about,
personal stuff, right? So I think that a lot of people want that 9-to-5 job with a steady paycheck so they can pay their bills and they can live and, live the lifestyle that they want to live, and just be comfortable. That was one of my fears, right? And then the other one is making sure I had healthcare. As a self-employed individual, you no longer have a company backing your healthcare, right? So those were two of my biggest fears in making the transition. And I think with the revenue piece of it, coming back to that, I wanted to make sure that I at least was able to cover my basic business expenses, which I have business partners that were awesome through this whole process, or still awesome through the process, that kind of helped me cover both of those fears. And now I'm at the point that I will probably double what I was making just in my first year, double what I was making as a full-time employee.
Wow. In a year?
In a year.
That's amazing. Also, I found a little tidbit on Entrepreneur Magazine. Thought it was a really interesting note. And so I'm just going to read it. So in a survey commissioned by Weebly, this is from Entrepreneur Magazine, Wakefield Research found that 1/3 of Americans are more afraid to start their own business than to jump out of a plane. Now, I thought that was a really interesting perspective to give, because I would never jump out of a plane, ever. So
I would. I haven't done it yet, but it's on the bucket list.
So you started a business.
I
so
did.
You're in line with that demographic of, well, if you can jump out of a plane, you can probably start a business. Not saying you have to.
I put all the parts and pieces in place long ahead of time before I made the jump.
Okay, so while you were self-employed, you were kind of
while I was
gearing up for it. Okay, what were some of those steps?
So the big thing is your network, and making sure that you're networking, you're setting yourself up as a thought leader within the industry, within the vertical that you are looking to get into. So, I've been in storage for going on 8 years now, and for 8 years I've been attending conferences and speaking at the national and state level and writing articles for the publications and building my network of people, both on the operator side and the vendor side within the industry, which is really how I got started. It's only been within the last 30 to 60 days that I've truly started to market my business, because I was really able to start and grow just by working with the contacts that I had already had.
Gotcha. And so when you started doing that, you said 8 years ago, about 8 years ago, did you know that's what you were doing? No. You were just kind of going
That's
slow,
just always been me.
Okay.
So prior to getting into storage, I worked for a local hospitality company. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and so I worked for a local hospitality company there, and they were really great at allowing me to go out and network in the community, and I was involved in the American Marketing Association there. I was president of the organization for a year. I was on the board for a number of years, and so that really opened up my network there, which actually got me into storage. Because I basically networked my way into the industry.
Right.
I had no idea what it was going to be once I got there. I just thought, oh, storage, we'll see what this is like.
Right. But the key there is you didn't just like jump in and say, hey guys, no, you came in as an expert like that people could come to.
And you build it over time. So yes, I've had a lot of success over the last 8-9 months, but there was a lot of work prior to that was done that people don't see. Right. So they think, oh, you got lucky, you just jumped into this and, you found the right thing. But it was really being in the right place at the right time and doing the prep work ahead of time to make it work.
Gotcha. Now, real quick, because we have more points to this,
Yes.
I just don't want to ignore our awesome people. So I just wanted to say to what's up, Robbie. Oh, I know. I've heard Robbie. Yeah,
Robbie's one of my business partners.
And John.
Yep.
Oh, man. And hi, Rose. Rose said hello.
Hello.
Hi, Rose. Remember, guys, you can always ask questions. We are here live. So that means if you decide to comment on something that has something to do with starting your business. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be about becoming self-employed or a business owner. I mean, this is just about starting your business or growing it. So
yeah, I mean, I'm living and breathing it right now.
Right.
So
you have someone who's experiencing it.
We're going through the pain points, and I have amazing business partners that are helping me through those pain points, which I think is another one of our topics. Sorry, I'm jumping all around.
It's okay. It's fun. It's how it works. It's how an entrepreneur's mind works, right?
Like chasing squirrels.
But you will eventually catch them.
Yes.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about business partners.
Yes. So for me, and I know I mentioned that like my business partners were the big reason that I was able to make the jump. We sat down and talked about what I needed to feel comfortable with, going out on my own. And it just so happened that they were looking to bring a marketing person on board for their team. They just weren't sure what that was going to look like. And honestly, the way they do things is much different than the way the business industry works, and that to their team, I am their in-house marketing director. Like I am their marketing director, but they allow me to run my own business and bring on additional clients for a piece of the pie.
Right.
So we signed a partnership agreement that they own a small piece of my revenue, right? So I gave away something. It was hard and it was painful, but I knew in the end it was the right thing to do. And the timing was right for what they were trying to accomplish and for what I was trying to accomplish. And these are guys that I've known for 5, 6, 7 years.
Right.
So I had a trust level with them. I knew that I know the business that they do and how they treat their employees. And I knew that they would be fair with me. And so I felt very comfortable doing that. And I think that's a big point if you're looking at going out and starting your own business. Partner with somebody that can help you get there. So I know all the marketing side of it, hands down. I don't know how to grow a business, right? That was not in my wheelhouse, but these guys do. And they've all started their own businesses over the years, and they're very creative in what they do. And so it's been a blessing to really have them to do that. I mean, and they're also in the storage industry, right? So they own and operate.
Right. Experts working with experts.
11 or 12 stores, right? So then they open their network to me as well.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, that's how I met.
Yes.
One of them. One of your business partners.
Yeah.
I'll say his name, John.
Yeah.
John, he was on Depot Biz Chats.
He was on Depot Biz Chat
about a month ago.
Yeah.
So, and you can always check that out on YouTube or in our Workonomy group or on our Facebook page on Office Depot. Someone just asked a question, so
Okay.
I want to see if it's a good question. I'm just kidding. Everyone who asks questions is a good
every
question.
question is a good question.
All right, so here's a question from Leslie. how do you determine what to charge for your services when you're new to this and trying to grow a client base? That's a terrifying question.
Throw a dart at a dartboard. I mean, really, a lot of it is based on the projects that I've done in the past and people that I've worked with, right? So I know what they charged. I know what other people in my space charge as an hourly rate. I prefer not to do hourly rate. I prefer to price out a project. But a lot of it is just based on the knowledge that I have. And I always tell people that my prices, at first, I always tell people that my prices are negotiable, just to see where they are in terms of what they have in mind for their budget.
Right.
I've been very lucky in that I haven't gotten a lot of pushback on my pricing. But again, a lot of that is because I know what others have charged and I know what I can charge based on what I'm willing to pay. And I also bounce a lot of that off of my business partners, right? So anytime I come up with something new that is going to go out to the storage industry specifically and to an owner, I'll go to John or Robbie or Eric, and I will say, you know, would you guys be willing to pay XYZ for this service?
Right.
And they'll be like, you should charge more. or no, I'm not going to pay that much.
Right.
So a lot of it is having those people that you can go to as a sounding board to ask them what their opinions are of the prices that you're putting out there.
And this goes to the next topic, which is so great. This is working out so well, is having not a real one, but like having a board of directors for your life, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
And I think John talked about that a little bit on his biz chat. And so it's really having those go-to people in your life for different categories, because you can't be an expert in everything, right? And most of the people on your board of directors don't really know they're on your board of directors, but they're the people that you always go to when you have a question, that are going to answer you fairly, that are going to give you their true opinion.
And it's not necessarily a business relationship.
No,
either.
it can be your friends.
Right.
It can be your family. It can be anybody that you feel is an expert in the category that you have a question on.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good idea. I think everyone kind of probably inadvertently has that. You know, like everyone has a few people that they call for advice. You know, like my dad, like he's the first person I call.
Yeah.
Although I don't say he's like the president of my board of directors, right?
Right.
He would love that, but I'm not going to give that to him because he would charge me. Anyway, that's just a little look into my life, but let's just move on. So giving your piece of business, I wanted to kind of just touch on that again. A lot of people are scared of doing something like that because, I mean, it's your baby. No one wants to give out a piece of their baby.
Yeah.
But you, in your experience, and a lot of other people who've actually come in and done our biz chats have all said the same thing, where it's like, you can't do everything.
No.
So you really do have to figure out a way to get other people on board and people just as passionate as you. And I think that's a key that many people might overlook, is like, oh, cool, they have the funds, they have the money, and they can help me with this. But if they don't really care about it, it's going to die. No, it's not going to die, but you know what I mean.
And really the way I started was by bringing on contractors. So I have 4 people right now that are on retainer with me monthly. So they're not full-time employees that I have overhead on, but they are contract employees. So I have them to do certain specific tasks monthly for a certain number of hours.
Right.
So that I can delegate different things out to them, like a content writer, and SEO and AdWords specialists, and a programmer. So I have these different people that I can have as my contractors until I get to the point that I might need to bring one of those functions in-house.
Right.
Or they might stay on even as a contractor, even if I bring something in-house.
And that was going to be my next question. Yeah.
There are always going to be those times that you're swamped with work that you need those extra hands on deck to help get something across the finish line that maybe your full-time team can't handle. And actually I do that for some companies where I am that person that, you know, they have a project that they need to get across the finish line. They might not have that person on their team. So they come to me and say, we need you to help write some content for our website. Can you just do this one piece of it for us?
Right. And then you do that,
And
building
I do that.
that relationship with that business.
Correct.
And then you can reach out to them if you need something that maybe you can't do in-house. Yeah, that's the circle. And that leaves us to the next point.
What? But tell everyone. What? Oh, right.
I was like,
Notes from the audience.
Don't read that out loud.
No, but as a business owner, but that's a good point. As a business owner, like I'm telling you what I do to like set everything up, but when I send my message out to a potential new client, I would say to them, I have a 6-person team, right? So they don't need to know that part of your team is contractors and part of your team is full-time.
Right.
Right? You just say that I have a team of 6.
Right. That makes sense.
Or I have a team of 10.
Yeah.
That is to get that message across, to make yourself look bigger than you are, right? To bring in more of those customers and to continue to grow your business, to actually get you to that 10-person
Right.
team. You say you have that team.
As long as you know you can get
Right.
that work done, right? As long
It's
as you
about
can
the
provide.
message and how you're marketing yourself.
Right. Marketing, huh? Interesting. But yeah, and I think it's important as long as you know that you can scale that. Like as long as you're
Yeah.
picking up a few more employees, you know, and you're saying you have 10, as long as you know you can handle that workload and do it the way you can do it,
Exactly.
then yes,
Yeah.
perfect idea. So we said circle. I wonder if you're wondering why I was like so excited about the word circle. The next quote is keeping money in your circle. And that is kind of what you were talking about in terms of
So
helping one business while they ask help sometimes
absolutely.
for you.
Yep. Yeah, and it's about, you know, finding the people that you want to work with through your network and using your network for some of that. You know, my partnership is very interesting in that I'm kind of like a full-time employee for them, but I'm a business owner too.
Right.
So I'm still growing my external business. And they're very supportive of that, and a lot of businesses don't do that. So I'm basically a business inside of a business. And I'm doing that, you know, with some of my other contract
Right.
as well.
And that helps you mitigate the risks that you're afraid of, right?
Absolutely.
That all goes back to overcoming those fears we were talking about.
And it's how to find those people. You know, I think sometimes people, you know, me included, have a fear of letting go and have a fear of not having the control of everything.
Right.
And so it's finding the people that you're going to trust. So if you find somebody through your network of people, you're more likely to find somebody that you're going to know and trust than if you put a job description out there to find a contract person, because
Right.
you're not going to have their history. You're not going to know what they've done in the past. So like some of the people I work with, I've had relationships with for 10 plus years. Or like
So you
my
would
mother,
recommend
who
that?
I've had a relationship with, you know, my whole life.
Yeah, probably. But you would recommend, you know, not necessarily just putting an ad out there. I mean, it's not.
Look, you can
the
do it
only
that way, and I'm not
but-
going to say you shouldn't, but for me, being the control person I am, and knowing that many entrepreneurs are control people, it was easier for me to let go of those reins much faster
I see.
because I had those relationships with the people that I was working with.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. And I mean, that's very clear to me.
Yeah.
So you're more willing to relinquish that control if you trust the person.
Exactly.
And you're not going to trust someone you just met. Right? It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you don't.
You might.
You can.
You
I don't
can,
want to
but
tell people how to
I
live
just
their
think
life,
that
but
for me personally, having that relationship or having a relationship with somebody that recommends someone also was very important and made it much easier for me personally to let go of the reins
Right.
and just continually send projects out to them to get them done, because I know their work ethic. I know that they're going to get it done, and they're going to get it done mostly the way that I want it.
With their expertise
Correct.
coupled into that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you have to tell yourself anything before you let go of a dude? Is there like
Constantly.
I mean,
Constantly.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
still working through that a lot. I'm getting better, but I constantly have to be like, wait, I don't need to do this project. I have somebody that can do it for me.
right.
And I'm really working on that now with Kathleen on board as my marketing assistant and client success manager. I'm really trying to be like, what can I give her that can help her learn my business and learn storage, and not just me doing it? Because I'm still in this mindset of like, I get an email, I get it done.
Right.
I get an email, I get it done. Instead of saying, no, I have somebody else that can do this and will help her learn and grow.
Right. And the more she does it, the more comfortable you
Yeah.
are.
And then as I bring more people on board, which will happen, she can then help train those people.
Oh God, I love it.
So
Basically, every step of this way helps you remove yourself a little bit.
and if you would have asked me 9 months ago if this is how it was going to all play out, I would never have anticipated it.
So you actively made this. Well, I mean, you said you were gearing up for it, but
It's been completely organic the way that it's kind of played out. My original thought was, I want to go out and work for myself. I'm tired of working for somebody else and making somebody else money when I can make myself money.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, it would be really great to have like a 5 to 10 person team. And now I'm like, I'm already there.
I have that. Yeah.
So.
I saw another comment come in.
Okay.
So. Oh, do I have to hit refresh? That's not cool.
know.
That's not fair. Oh. They need to learn how to type. First of all, I'm just kidding, Robbie. How do you control quality when delegating?
I still have a rule that nothing goes out to the final client until I give it a stamp of approval.
Okay. So,
Which,
right. Okay.
for right now, at some point, I know we will get to the point that I will need to step out of that role and let those people communicate directly with the client. But it might be that Kathleen is the one now that things are coming to, and she's putting her stamp of approval on it.
Right.
So if it's a contract employee that is truly running their own business outside of my business, I put somebody within my organization will put their stamp of approval on it before sending it to a
Right.
vendor.
And at the moment, it's you because you're still in the beginning process of this. That makes
But eventually I will have to transition out of that.
Right.
And my business partners are awesome at hitting me in the head and when I don't do those things. And very bluntly hitting me in the head and saying, it's time for you to step out of this role. You
Right.
need to transition it to someone else.
Well, I mean, if John's writing notes and doing this
Yes,
in the middle
exactly.
it's pretty great. Very active members of your board of directors
Yes.
as well as partners,
Yes.
and that's all. And also they're
And
fun.
they're fun.
From what I've learned,
We have a great
So,
time. I think that's another piece of it is you gotta love what you do. You gotta laugh.
Right.
People are gonna make mistakes. I am way too hard on myself.
Most people are.
But people are going to make mistakes, and you've got to be able to say that that's okay. And just as long as they recognize it and fix it, and but it's going to happen.
Right. Sorry, just seeing if we have
Yep.
any more questions before. All right, this is a 30-minute conversation. I didn't even realize we were talking for 30 minutes. If you guys have any more
Lots
questions,
to talk about.
please reach out. We are certainly eager to help you fix that pain point
Yeah.
that you're dealing with.
And by no means is this the only way to do it.
Oh,
it's
that's
just worked really well for me.
Right. And at all our Depot Biz Chats, it's always open to
Yeah.
interpretation. I
Yep.
mean, these are based on the experiences of the people speaking. So just like a human being, we're all very unique in our own ways. So the way we tackle any kind of project could be the best way for us, which is not necessarily the same, but it's something you should learn because the more you know, the more options you have.
Yes.
So that's what you want. You want to be knowledgeable before you make these decisions. So please, if you have any more questions, please go ahead and ask. If this isn't live anymore and you want to ask a question, go ahead. I will tag Christina so she can answer you on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. We're all over the place. So Christina, before we close out, I wanted to, we already explained what self-employed is and we explained what a business owner is. But to solidify this, to call it a day, I want to go over a couple examples of what a small business owner looks like versus what someone who's self-employed, like what kind of job, or not jobs, but what kind of businesses or companies they run. So usually, the self-employed person is a sole proprietor. They do everything. And a lot of business owners who have teams do that too, by the way. But they are more like independent contractors, right? And so something like that would be, maybe you can help me with this because I'm not finding my list.
I would say somebody like a freelance graphic designer, a freelance content writer, programmer, somebody that might not have a true LLC or company name, is more of that.
Right. That works.
A consultant a lot of the times.
Right.
Would be an independent consultant for something. They don't always have a team. They might have an assistant, but
and
they don't always have a team of people.
Gotcha. And so something I wanted to bring up, this is why I talked about it, is, home businesses. A lot of home businesses are like that.
Yes.
And, that could be a lot of industries. But when you work at home, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I wanted to highlight, which, by the way, you can always find one of these awesome desks that we're sitting on at our Office Depot and start building your home office. Yeah. Small business owners, some examples of that. I mean, a lawyer could be self-employed.
Could be.
But they can also own their firm and have multiple, right. So I saw a lawyer, I'm like, that's
honestly, I think any of the things that we named as self-employed could also transition to the small business owner, as long as you have a team of people working with you.
Gotcha.
If you're just doing something on your own, then you're really just that sole proprietor, self-employed.
Okay, gotcha. So the message I'd love to share now is, if you are self-employed and you do any of these things, there is a way, most likely, to become a business owner.
Absolutely.
And we kind of went over the points. So I want to thank you again, Christina. That was really awesome to go over.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Thanks for
your time.
having me.
I'm sure we'll see you again. And
All right.
Thanks.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Remember, you
guys.
can still ask your questions. You can also join our Workonomy group on Facebook or LinkedIn, where we take your questions and turn them into biz chats. That's what they're here for. So we're trying to get that wheel of content going. Actually, it's been going, but we'd like to continue it. So please join our groups on LinkedIn and Facebook. Let us know what your pain points are, and we'll find an expert like Christina to figure out the solutions to those pain points. Thanks again, guys, and have a great day.